Hi guys, I'm Wanda Sews. Welcome back to my channel if you're a subscriber, and welcome if you're new. My channel is essentially where I am sharing my sewing journey with you. So today we're here to talk about Sew Frugal 23. I'm so excited to be part of this vlogging tour this year. Last year I took part in the challenge itself. This year's the first year of me taking part in the actual vlogging tour. There's lots of people releasing vlogs about this challenge on a daily basis. Today there is two of us. This is myself and So Charlotte Sews, and I will link her channel below, so if you haven't already, please pop over and check it out. I will also pop up here the infographic sharing all of the vloggers that are showcasing and inspiring you guys throughout the month with their free patterns. So if you don't actually know what this challenge is, I'm going to briefly roll over it for you. It is essentially a sewing challenge over on Instagram, where you pick a piece of fabric from your stash, you find a free pattern that's accessible to anybody off the internet preferably, and you sew it up and reveal it on the 31st of March. It's that simple. Now, one of the things that I want to quickly talk about before I go into some free patterns that I'm thinking of making is actually the fabric choices. Now, I have a huge stash. I'm not actually concerned that I don't have fabric there for me to use, because the box I am currently sitting on in my bedroom is full of fabric, along with several Kallax unit boxes downstairs. But there are some people out there that are really good, really reserved, and they don't necessarily keep a huge stash, so they may not necessarily have huge pieces of fabric. So you can use things like duvet covers, tablecloths, or if you've not quite got enough fabric, you could even look to do maybe some patchworking. I've got a piece here that I'm using for some sleeves on a garment that I'm making, where it's just literally several different pieces of my scrap fabrics that I've had from other garments, and I've pieced them all together. So you could use something like this just to make an additional longer piece of fabric. Like I said, this is just for a couple of sleeves, but it's just to give you another idea of things that you can use from your stash, because we all end up with scraps and don't necessarily know what to do with them. So what am I showcasing today pattern wise? Well, I have got several for you. I want to make up an outfit, so an entire outfit. She says, rocking herself about. I don't know why I'm rocking myself about, but I want to make either a top and a skirt or a dress to wear across the spring. These are all fully spring going into summer inspired patterns, to be honest with you. Now, I have got quite a few, and I have tried to be restrictive in what I'm sharing with you, and actually this was probably about trebled when I first pulled this list together. So let's get into it, because I've got a lot to share with you. So the first thing that I have looked at is dresses. Dresses is a nice easy outfit. It's just one piece. So I thought this was a great way to start. And if you haven't got a lot of time to sew, then a dress would be perfect, because it's a fully made outfit for you in one go. The first dress pattern that I've got to share with you is a sheared midi dress. It could theoretically be a mini dress because it's a self-drafted pattern. Now, this is a pattern tutorial that I found on YouTube, and I absolutely love this dress. And it's made by the Crafty Pie, which is Brogan, who was one of the sewing contestants on the Sewing Bee. So she talks you through how to draft the pattern. Essentially, it's rectangles, and then she takes you through the process of sewing the dress itself. But it is just stunning. Now, I did go over to her Instagram and poached a couple of photos, and I really hope she doesn't mind, so I could show you the dress. Now, the link for this tutorial will be in the description box below, so if you want to go over and check it out and it's something you're interested in, then you can go ahead and do that. Now, this would tick off one of my boxes of things I really want to try, and that is shearing. And it should be fairly easy, because the fabrics you can use for this are cottons. I mean, I certainly would use a more structured fabric, so you could use cotton lawn, cotton voile, even a poly cotton would work. And that's exactly what I have in mind for this. So I have some poly cotton fabrics here, both gingham fabrics, because I have an obsession with gingham. So the first one is a seersucker fabric that I got from Pound Fabrics, and it's this gorgeous red gingham. And you can just see that seersucker effect on it. It's just stunning. I absolutely love this fabric. And it is really tempting me to make this up. I've got about 3 meters of this, and I think this fabric cost me about £7.50, but I bought it at the back end of the summer months last year, going into autumn, with the intentions of turning it into a summer dress this year, as it was in the sale. So that's the first fabric I've got for this particular dress. The next fabric is another gingham, and it's a polycotton. This is a hot pink gingham. Now you are going to see a theme as we run through some of my fabrics. At the moment, I have an obsession with hot pink, and this would be lovely. I've got 2 lengths of this fabric in my stash, so I've got 2 lengths of 2 meters. Now, if I remember rightly, again, this was another Pound Fabrics buy, again at the back end of summer last year, and I just love it. And I shared this in my stash vlog that I did at the beginning of the year, and I'll pop a card in at the top just if you are interested. It's a long vlog, guys, but if you are interested in seeing what's in my stash, I do show you everything. And this is one I definitely want to get something made up with. I was considering destashing this fabric, but with the love that I have for hot pink and gingham right now, I think this would make a great sheared midi dress. So they're the 2 fabrics I've got in mind for the midi sheared dress. So the next dress that I have for you is a Somag pattern. Now Somag have a huge library bank of patterns that you can make. Now I'll pop some footage in here of me accessing Somag, but it is quite easy. You just go onto the website, you go into the pattern sections, and then you can download it. Some of their patterns come in A0, some of their patterns come in A4. Now what I will say about Somag is they are not necessarily the most size inclusive. I think in recent months the patterns that they've released on there go more up to a size 24. UK size 24, but the majority go up to size 20, and I think if you go further back through their patterns, it's a size 16. So I've tried to be selective with some of the ones that I've picked off of here and tried to go for the ones that do go up into a size 24. So the first dress that I want to talk about from Somag, or no, the only dress that I want to talk about from Somag, but the first pattern is the Nora dress. Now the Nora dress is a gorgeous dress. It actually reminds me of the Tilly and the Buttons dress, the indigo dress. So it's a great free alternative if it's a pattern that you don't have. You can use lightweight woven fabrics, so things like viscose would be good. This pattern is on an A4 print, so just a print at home print. It takes about 2.5 meters of fabric, and as I said, it goes up to sizes 8 to 24. But it's a really lightweight viscose dress. You could make this as a midi, but you could quite easily leave that second tier off. You could lengthen it so it just hits your knees, or shorten it slightly. You've got a lot to play with. You could make it with shorter sleeves. You could even make it sleeveless, so you can kind of hack the pattern as you go along. But I really wanted to give you a free alternative that is very similar to some shop bought patterns out there. So that's my second dress to share with you. My third dress, now again you will see a few patterns as we go through this from Tianas Closet. Now Tianas Closet is a website that you can go to. I will link the links to all of the patterns below in the description box, but go and check out Tianas Closet, because if you haven't, you're missing out. There are so many beautiful trendy patterns on there. They all are in A4 print, so they're not in A0, so they are in the print at home print. But this particular dress, I have fallen in love with it. This is the Lucinda puffed sleeve dress, and again it's one that comes in lightweight fabric, so the suggestions are things like polycotton, voile. You could get away with making it in a lawn, but I think a lawn would be a lot more structured for this. I would personally choose a viscose to make this in. Now the reason I didn't show you any fabrics in the last one for the Nora dress is because the fabrics that I have could be made for either of these 2 dresses. So this pattern comes in a size extra small and goes right up to a size 5XL. So I think it's quite a size inclusive pattern, and all of her patterns, or the majority of her patterns, come in that size range. So I have a few different fabrics that I could use for this. Again, the hot pink. So I think that this would make a beautiful Lucinda puff sleeve dress. Now it wouldn't have the structure on the sleeves, but that's the way I prefer it. I do prefer that drape. It's a hot pink fabric that's got these gorgeous white flowers all over it, and again this was a Pound Fabrics buy in the back end of the summer months, and it was, I think it was £1.50 a metre when I bought it. It's a viscose chalet, so it's definitely a really lightweight fabric, but it's just stunning. So that's the first fabric that I have as an option for those dresses, because I've got 4 meters of that fabric. Now I want to go back to this fabric here, because again this would be a great fabric choice for either one of those dresses, and that's the red gingham seersucker. So I'm just trying to sort of make sure that I've got more than one idea for these fabrics. The last fabric that I have, sorry, I've got like a massive pile around me, so I'm just trying to find it, is this orange rusty tencel. Now I am umming and ahhing about this, because this isn't necessarily the best colour on me. It can wash me out, but it's this gorgeous shimmery satin kind of front to it. I don't know if you can see that, and I've got 3 meters of this, so I did think this would be a good option. But again, like I said, it's not really a fabric I can wear well without it making me look really pale, and I am pale at the best of times until we get to the summer and I'm lovely and tanned. So that's the third option. So that's the dresses. So I hope there's some inspiration there on the dress front. Now we've got skirts. So skirts, I had a really good look around, because I do like the idea of having a 2-piece outfit, and I have an obsession with hot pink at the moment, and I really like the idea of making a bottom in this gorgeous pink tencel. So this came from Rainbow Fabrics. It came at the beginning of the year. It's not actually been in my stash for that long. I think I got it in January, and it's just a stunning hot pink, but it's got a little bit of body to it, so it would make a great skirt. So the first skirt on my list is the Elouise skirt by Somag. Now I have fallen in love with this, and I don't know, and I can't find the fabric. I think it's in my outside stash. I have this fabric in my stash, and I think this skirt looks lovely made up in this fabric. So this is a cotton lawn Lady McElroy fabric, so I am tempted to make this skirt up in that particular fabric, but I'm also tempted to make it up in this. Now for this particular pattern, it comes in a size 8 to 24. It can be made in a poplin, a viscose, or a lawn. Now the viscose would give you a much drapier look to it, so I think this tencel would, even though there's a bit of body to it, would be a much drapier look, whereas a poplin or a lawn would be a lovely structured look. So I have got a poplin in my stash as well that I was also thinking could be utilised for this skirt, and that is this one here. And again, I've had this in my stash for probably about a year. This pattern only takes about 2.5 meters of fabric, so there's plenty of options within my stash. So that was the first skirt pattern. The second skirt pattern that I have for you is the Sabina skirt. The Sabina skirt is by the Little Pomegranate. You just sign up for her newsletter and you don't get a lot of spam with it. You get some interesting reads on her blog. And you can access this pattern for free. It's a really straightforward pattern and it's perfect for beginners. It comes in a size range of UK size 6 to 34, so it's really size inclusive. My personal recommendation for this skirt is to make it up in a viscose, but you can make it in a lawn, you can make it in a poplin. If you're a beginner, it would certainly be easier to do that, but I do think this skirt needs a drape. So I am wearing my Sabina skirt today because I have made this pattern before. I've made 2. This one is my orange one. So you've got pockets here. I can stand up on this. Got to be careful. So you can see there's like a ruffle here like this. It's just a beautiful skirt. Very, very simple. And I've got it on with one of my cropped Billy jumpers. Now I had some problems learning how to style this because of my figure, because obviously If you're a very slender person or you've got a really defined waist, it's perfect for you because it's just an elasticated waist. But if you're a little bit curvier and you've got a little bit more in your middle section, you kind of have to find a way of bringing that waist in. So I've done this in a number of ways with this particular jumper. It's cropped, it works really well. I've also done it in a blazer, which I'll pop in a picture of. The other skirt that I made was in a gorgeous red crepe, and I've learned to love this skirt, and I ended up styling it with a boob tube. It was more of like a summery style skirt, but it's just stunning, so I'll pop that picture in so you can see it as well. I wanted to include it because it's a tried and true pattern. Whether I'll make another one, I don't know, but if I did, I would certainly be looking to make it out of this pink tencel. The final skirt that I've got on my list is a sew over it skirt, the new skirt, and I'm sure there'll be a few vloggers talk about this, the ruby skirt. I really like the look of this pattern. I think it, again, is just a lovely spring-like skirt, and you can get different looks from the different fabrics that you use. So you could use a lovely viscose, so I could use something like this for this skirt. It's got a button down front to it. Or I could use a nice poplin, which would give a really good structure. Or I could even use this gorgeous linen that's been sitting in my stash. It's actually a viscose linen, but it's just so pretty. And it's got these lovely little burnt orange sections on this fabric, and I've got some lovely burnt orange buttons, so I think that would look quite nice. Again, it's I think the way they've described it is for a confident beginner, and it's a can be made in chambray, poplin, viscose, lawn, so it covers a variety of fabrics that could be in your stash. It's in 2 different size brackets, so you can either get it in a size 6 to 20 or an 18 to 30. So again, incredibly size inclusive pattern there. So they were my 3 skirt patterns, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about my trouser patterns and my top patterns. I had to change my, because I've got a whole list of them literally just underneath the camera. I've had to just change it so I could see it. Sorry about that, guys. So, trouser patterns. First trouser pattern I have for you is a pair of culottes. They reminded me a little bit of the Tianas Closet culottes, but just a little bit more tapered in. These are the Wanda culottes. Again, this is a pattern by Somag, but there is plenty of ease in this. So although these only go up to a size 24, they're an elasticated waist, and there's so much give because they're slightly loose. So you could potentially, if you were in that slightly higher size range, certainly make these. I like these because, again, they come in that viscose kind of lightweight fabrics. They've just got that kind of flowy look to them. You could pop them on with a pair of heels to wear to work, but equally you could wear them around the house with a pair of comfy trainers, or, you know, going up to the pub, comfy trainers and a top kind of thing. So I could, again, use this particular fabric here to make them because there's a bit of drape to this, but they would have a more structured effect. Go back to my good old pop pink tencel viscose, and when I show you the tops you'll understand why I want to use this. Could use this for that as well. Again, this is an A4 printed pattern, doesn't come on the AO paper, and it takes about 2.5 meters of fabric, so it's quite good and friendly. I know for a trousers and culottes pattern it's not, there's still a lot of fabric there, but I think it's quite good if you've got those slightly smaller pieces in your stash. On average I tend to buy 3 meters, but I know everybody's different. They buy for what they tend to what they're going to make. Get my words out, Becky, get your words out. So that was the first pattern. Now this second pattern I really want to make, but I have nothing in my stash. So I thought I'd share it with you just to give another option, and because it is a pattern that I actually want to make in the future, but I have to buy the fabric for it because it takes a much more structured fabric, maybe like a cotton twill, because it's a proper pair of trousers, and it is the peppermint wide leg pants. And again, this is a pattern that I'm sure plenty of people will talk about for So Frugal. Peppermint magazine is a magazine that you can pop over. They've got a number of sewing patterns. They're newly released ones. They have now started charging for. You don't have the option on there not to pay, which I noticed with their latest release. But other than that, you can go through, you can choose to donate different amounts. amount. There's quite a small figure there, goes up to a slightly higher figure. But some of the patterns that they have are made and designed by well-known pattern designers, and that money does help keep the magazine going. So, you know, it's a brilliant thing when you do pay for them, but obviously this is a free pattern challenge, so there are free patterns over there. But I do like the word wide leg pants. This would be a bit of a challenge for me. I've never done a zip fly before, but it's the kind of trousers that I would wear to work. I do like a pair of wide leg trousers, and if I'd had some more structured fabric in my stash, I would certainly be giving this a go. So that was my second trouser option. I only came up with two because I really like the look of the Wanda culottes, and I think if I do decide to go with a trouser and top option, the Wanda culottes will be what I'm making if I don't do the skirt and the trouser option. But I may even end up making a small capsule wardrobe if I've got time. It just depends on how things go. So let's have a look at my top options. So we'll start with the other Somag, or the last Somag. No, it's not the last Somag, but we'll start with the other Somag pattern that I've got for you. And this is the puff sleeve blouse. And again, this reminded me of a tapered down Friday Pattern Company sage brush top. Now I'm thinking of this because it'd be very work appropriate. And the pattern that I want to use for this, the fabric that I want to use for this, sorry, goes really well with my pink. So picture pink bottoms, picture green top. So I think these two would just look lovely together. And I think that that blouse would be really nice in this fabric. So that is certainly an option. And then this would pair nicely, whether I make the trousers or the skirt, really well together. So that is one of the top ideas that I've got. That comes in sizes 8 up to 20. So it's not the biggest size range on that one. It can be made in a cotton lawn or a viscose. And if you want a really structured puff, then you can make it in a cotton poplin. But I think that because the blouse and on the model, I'm pretty sure that's a viscose that's being used, it needs that bit of drape. So I would veer more towards the viscose. It's not very fabric hungry. I would say it'd take about 1.5 to 2 meters of fabric, depending on the size range you fall in. So if you've got some of your smaller pieces of fabric in your stash, it could be one to use up for that. I do have another fabric choice for this top, and this is a remnant piece that I've had in my stash for a while. I made an Anna Allen Anthea blouse out of this fabric. I'll pop a picture in of that blouse so you can see, and it's just a beautiful summery fabric, but it's got that pink in it as well throughout. So again, it's a fabric, I keep saying that, don't I? It's a fabric that would pair really well with that hot pink. So I have a couple of options there. I could make a top up in this one and in this one, and then wear it with my trousers or my skirt, depending on which one I go for. So yeah, the options are endless for this. So I've got another top. In fact, I've got another 2 tops to share with you. Both of these come from Tianas Closet. Now, the first one that I have to talk about is the Karyn ruffle neck top. Oh my God, I am in love with this top. This is definitely more of a summery make, but you could make it for spring and chuck on a cardigan. So the recommendations for this is to use either a cotton or a linen, and I think it's because of that structured look that you want to get with the ruffles on the sleeves. So I was thinking that this would be an option to utilise for this top. I also have, and again, I think this is out in my stash somewhere, sorry, and I shared it actually when I did my stash vlog, and I think I shared the picture of this top, a light baby blue broderie on glaze that I got from Jenny Stitch's Fabrics. It was in her remnant sale, I think again at the back end of summer last year, but that would make a gorgeous Karyn ruffle neck top. So if I don't end up making it for this challenge, this top will be made at some point because it is just stunning. So I did think that that would work. I also thought I could go for sorry, I'm just trying to pick it up because this is a viscose linen, I know I'm looking at this for a skirt as well, but I did think this would be a lovely option for that ruffle neck top because it would hold that structure lovely. And I wouldn't actually be afraid of making this top in a viscose because I love a drapey look, and I think just having a drapey ruffle would look nice as well. So that is the Karyn ruffle neck top, comes in sizes extra, extra small and goes up to extra, extra large. So the last top that I've got for you, which is a blouse. It's the Judy blouse by Tianas Closet. I think this is one of her latest release. Now I love this because it's got these beautiful long cuffs on it, and it's also got a very v-neck shaped blouse. And in the picture that you can see here, and I'm sure you could change the buttons, you could arrange the buttons how you want, it's got these beautiful big buttons on it, and I do have some very large unique buttons that I've got in my charity shop collection of buttons that I've got downstairs that I could use. But equally, depending on the fabric you use, you could make this up in smaller buttons and just do your button placement the way you want it. But it is that cuff that's drawing me to it. It's a nice long one, and I think it gives a really smart, trendy look. It would look great with the Wanda culottes. It would look great with any of the skirt choices that I have there. It would be a great one for work, but equally you could bung this on with a pair of jeans as well. So it would work to go out. It would work to be that little bit more dressed down. It's a really universal top. Extra, extra small to 5XL, and the recommendations on there is a lightweight fabric like a viscose. Now I did think this would be great for it, but I have this here. Now this isn't a viscose, but it is a polycotton, and it's a really lightweight fabric, so it's got enough drape I think that I could use. And it's a fabric that I did a fabric swap with, so it's definitely a Frugal fabric that I did one with Ruth, and it's just got these men sailors boat type related print on it. But I think this would be lovely. Now I know it's a bit sheer, but for a blouse I could either stick a vest top underneath or just make sure I'm wearing a nude related bra. So I did think that this would look quite nice, and it would take it from work to that slightly more casual look. So that was another option that I had for that particular blouse. But I love that. Again, it's one that if it doesn't get made up in the So Frugal challenge, it's certainly one I will be looking to make up at some point. So I have 2 more patterns to share with you guys, and then we are done. So if you've stayed with me for this long, thank you very much. I'm very impressed because I've got quite a few. So I have a Dungarees pattern because I love a pair of dungarees, and I love a free dungaree pattern. Now this one is a draft your own. The reason why I've selected this one because then it is incredibly size inclusive, and like the sheer dress that I shared earlier on in the vlog, it is a video tutorial, and this is done by the lovely Stitch Sisters. Now they haven't been around for a little while. I don't know where they've gone. Their Instagram's disappeared off, but their vlogs are all still there over on YouTube, and they've got a few different pattern, design your own patterns, develop your own patterns, this is how you do it, vlogs on there. But they have a particular dungaree one on there which I love, and it reminds me of the Heyday dungarees a little bit, but you're drafting it to your size, and you're doing all your own measurements, and it's a really easy make as well, and they do talk you through that making process. So I thought this was a perfect dungaree option. Now I only have poplins in my stash as a structured fabric, so if I was to use anything, it would be something like this. I think I've got a couple more poplins buried outside in my stash as well, which I would need to go out and have a look at, so they are some options for me too. The last pattern I want to share with you is the Alex Shacket. Now this doesn't blend or go with any of the patterns that I have got, but I have sent this off to be printed. It's a Somag pattern, and Shackets are so popular at the moment, and let's face it, I live in the UK. Spring and summer is not always the warmest weather, so I'd love to make myself up a shacket to sort of chuck it on to keep myself a little bit warm. That's what a shacket's for, isn't it? So this is the Alex Shacket, and it's by Somag, and I thought this was a brilliant free pattern. The instructions on this aren't perfect, but I've made a few shirts, so I think that I would be able to muddle my way through, but just bear that in mind as if this is something you want to look at. And I do have some fabric for this. I've just realised I've left it behind you. So let me just grab it. So this is the fabric I have for this. This came in last month's So Hayley Jane box that I had. So it's in my stash, and I was torn between making a shacket or a pair of pajamas, because I think it suits either one of those, if that makes sense. But I thought this would make a lovely lightweight shacket. I know that Hayley herself is actually making up a shacket with this fabric, and it is very lightweight, but I think for the spring months it would be perfect to chuck on. It'd go with jean looks, t-shirts, all sorts. Definitely one of my more casual looks, which you don't see me sporting very often, but yeah, I really like this fabric, and I think this would make a great Alex shacket. So it's just to give you another option. I know that shackets are trendy. I really wanted to share that pattern with you if nobody else had brought it up. At least you've seen it, so if it's something of interest, you've got it there. That's everything. I cannot believe that I've got through all of them. So if you've managed to stay this long, thank you very much. I hope that I've given you some inspiration. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below of which of those you really like the look of and you think I should get made up, because I want to make the majority of those patterns that I've shared with you. I just don't know which ones I want to focus on for So Frugal 23. And I will do a reveal vlog at the end of March where I talk you through what I've made, how I found the patterns, how the instructions were, so you can get an in-depth review on those patterns as well. If you've liked this vlog, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you've liked what you've seen today, then please hit that subscribe button. It would be nice to have you with me. I do release a vlog every week. I release Friday Sews, and I try to release one a couple more throughout the month as well. Sorry, can't get my words out now. I've been talking too long, so I'm going to leave you to it. Have a fantastic month. I hope you've got plenty of plans, and happy sewing, guys, and I will catch you all soon. Bye.